1.
Good afternoon, everybody. This is episode 3 for TnT Sports. My name is Thomas Giannis, and I got my co-host Ty McGrath.
Hey,
And
what's up,
so this is
everybody?
our
How you
episode.
doing?
Yep. So episode 3, we're excited. As you know, episode 2 was about our beloved teams getting their butts kicked, especially the Buffalo Bills. But we have a fun-filled, jam-packed, episode for today. So we're going to talk about the divisional rounds. A lot of interesting stuff that we'll talk about. As always, we'll give you our stats, our predictions, and today we'll also give you score predictions that Ty and I discussed. We haven't done it the last couple of games, so we're going to do it this time. Oh, and then we're gonna talk about the NBA. Finally, it only took a few episodes, but we're gonna talk about the NBA. A
Hmm.
lot of good stuff there. As you could tell, Ty is a big Knicks fan. So is a lot of our buddies. I'm a Rockets fan, but I do root for the Knicks. I'm from New York, right? Upstate New York. We still got to root for the Knicks, right? So yep, exciting stuff. I don't like how Starks is dunking on Jordan, but it is what it is. All right, so I so we're going to start off with the NFL, and we'll start off with the conference championship game. Some exciting stuff happening. The games are this Sunday. So we'll start off first. I like to start off with the NFC. That's going to be an interesting discussion. So we're going
Yeah,
to start off with the NFC. The San Francisco 49ers playing the Philadelphia Eagles in Philly. Right
yep,
now, I did check the weather because I think weather has something to do with it.
for
Weather
sure.
right now is looking okay. Looking okay. Just want to add that piece to it. So
That's
I'll
important.
let you kick it off, Ty. Yep, I'll let you kick it off and give you your thoughts, and then I'll add my thoughts afterwards.
All right. Well, thanks, Thomas. As a, you know, NFC resident person, as my team is in the NFC and NFC East guy. Very familiar with Philadelphia and also, of course, San Francisco. Dallas played them last week. So, though I should be salty, I actually am very excited for this game. I do think these are two of the top 3 teams in NFC. You would have had a great matchup regardless of who would have won the San Francisco Dallas game. But I am really intrigued to see how these two teams are going to match up. Um, so it sounds interesting, but these games are going to be very similar. I think in terms of the keys to winning the game. As I shared last week about San Francisco, how they're, first their defense is first against um, the run, but then they're 20th against the pass. The interesting part is the Eagles' offense is eighth offensively with the pass and fifth with the run. So it's going to be strength on strength when it comes to running the ball, which I think is going to be key. I think it's going to be very difficult for them, but the key is going to be pass. You know, how effectively can the Eagles pass the ball against San Francisco? So it's going to come down to, I believe, Jalen Hurts. We talked about it. He's MVP candidate. Um, but he had his worst game of the season when he played one of the top defenses, Dallas. He threw for 180 yards, low completion percentage. They won because they were able to run the ball. And so I think, to me, I'm looking at that as one of the biggest factors in this game. I do think that the 49ers have a complete team, but if there's another team that has a complete team in terms of personnel, it's the Eagles. They got a great offensive line, defensive line, secondary, playmakers all over the field. Um, it's going to really have to come down to the distribution of the quarterback to make those plays. Um, the other thing that I, want to highlight is, as one of the teams that did beat the Eagles this year, one of the key parts to beating the Eagles is the middle of the field. Like their safeties aren't the greatest. Gardner Johnson is pretty good, but they actually use him to cover usually the slots or the tight ends. Um, so they're not the greatest at the middle of the field, but most times teams don't have that time to exploit them because they lead the league in sacks. But I think that is going to be a key component. Can Kittle and Debo exploit the middle. And you know what? San Francisco, what they want to do is pass the ball in the middle of the field. They don't want to throw the ball outside. So will Philly be able to adjust their defense to be able to match up with the interior passing attack? Second weakness of Philadelphia, because they don't have much. I mean, they probably, I think they're like the second best defense in the league besides San Francisco overall. The other weakness they have is they are 15th against the run. Um, and the 49ers are seventh against the run. So you would think, well, they're still not terrible against the run, and they're not. But the games where they did struggle, teams were able to run the ball, and it's not up front in the middle because they got those big guys in the middle. It's really more off tackle and the outside. And what does San Francisco want to do? They want to run the ball outside and off tackle. So it's going to be strength, San Francisco's strengths, which is passing in the middle and running off tackle, versus Philadelphia's weaknesses, which is, you know, stopping the off tackle runs, which are giving about 5 yards a carry or something crazy, and the middle passes. And then on the other end, I think why I think the Eagles have a good shot is San Francisco wants to get up the field so much and get past, get some pressure on the quarterback. If Bosa is not disciplined, that read option stuff is that could eat him alive. Because Dallas ran it twice, which they should have probably ran it more times. And the one time they ran it with slow Dak Prescott, he ran for 15 yards, and Bosa was all, stuck. He couldn't get his feet set and went right by him. And you've seen it a couple times. So, um, so even, really, 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 really even matchup. I don't know what to call it, but if you have to give me my prediction, I'll tell you after you give me your analysis. How about that? I'll tell you my prediction.
Okay. Well, yeah, a lot of great stuff there, Ty. I would say a lot of great stuff. Thanks for that data, right? So I want to look at it as you use the word even, right? So
Mm-hmm.
the reason why I brought up weather is going to be 42 degrees. So it's going to be weather where in this game, play action is going to be one of the things that we're going to I want to look for, or we should be looking for.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about, I want to break it down to a couple of things. I first want to start with the defense, and then the offense. You'll hear, I want to do some deep dive analysis on the offense, but you brought a lot of good stuff with defense. Defensive wise, they're with it literally almost ranked the same. One is
Yep.
1 and one is 2 by 25 yards. Okay.
Yeah.
And so, like if you take the offense passing, the rushing, but if you think about it even, right?
Yep.
Both D lines are good, great. I would give the edge to 49ers, but slightly, you know what I mean? But they're both good. Linebackers so if you think about it, linebackers for the Eagles is weak, but the secondary is weak for San Fran. San Fran's linebackers are strength, and 49ers secondary, except for I'm talking about the outside of the cornerbacks, right? Even their safety, they got one good safety. Jimmy Ward is okay. I don't know why people get hyped up on him. He gets easily burned, but I mean that's besides the point. If you actually watch the game last week with Dallas, if Dak Prescott can actually make some passes, he was burnt a couple of times when he played the slot. So if you
don't bring up old wounds, don't bring up old wounds.
Sorry.
That's all right. Sorry, that's all right. Go ahead, continue.
Yeah, I got you. So if you actually look at their defense, everyone's gonna be like, oh, the defense is going to be, the key. Not really yet. I think there's going to be advantages on both end. Whoever's defense stops the run, quote unquote, is that everyone thinks about is going to win the game. But I don't think that's the key. The key is going to be the offense. Let's reverse it. I didn't want to talk about defense. Everyone talks about defense. I see all the news on the news, ESPN. Everyone talks about the defense. I think the defense, they're going to do a good job of trying to figure it out. The offense is key. So if you take away Brock Purdy and Jalen Hurts, the offense looks the same to me. Debo's a freak of nature. AJ Brown's a freak of nature. Ayuk, Devontae Smith runs good routes. The tight ends, Kittle's a little bit better than Goddard. Their offensive lines are probably 1 and 2, right? If you put Detroit Lions, they're 1, 2, and 3. You want to put it whatever you want to do, right?
Yeah.
Their running game, I want to say I'll give a slight edge to the 49ers when it comes to talent, but actually efficiency, the Eagles.
Yeah.
So I think we're gonna go to the quarterback.
Mm.
Dallas did everybody a favor last week and showed the blueprint of Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy is getting exposed. If you
Mhm.
actually watch the tape of Brock Purdy, he's showing some stuff that and I was looking through some data and hearing some people that makes sense. And he's showing these why he was a seventh round. People forget he's a seventh round pick. Now I want people back to reality. Great story, Rudy kind of story. That's great.
Mm.
He can he make it? I don't know, but last week he showed, and in the Cowboys honestly should have had two interceptions for sure. Could have had a third. He's going back, holding on the ball and going left a lot, right?
Mhm.
And that is and one thing with the Eagles, you cannot go roll out. Their thing is the edge rusher. So
Yeah.
they like between Sweat and Riddick, those guys like the edge. And Brock Purdy holds onto the ball and moves around. Now, on the other side, to your point, Jalen Hurts. I like Jalen Hurts. And a lot of people are gonna crucify me for saying this. I don't think he's MVP candidate. That's just my
No,
opinion.
no, no.
But he had 11 touchdowns, 22 pass or 23 passing. 34 touchdowns and everything. But if you actually look at the stats, versus great defenses, he looked like a game managing type of quarterback that runs the ball, right?
Mhm.
So and last week's game against the Giants, we didn't get
Yeah.
any tape. No, we don't know anything because that game was so
Very
so
true.
that game didn't show us anything. That game was so out of hand after the first quarter,
Yeah.
and everything like that. So now why I say focus on offense is the defense are going to play. They're both going to be scheming well and do well. I mean, they're going
Mhm.
to do well. In my opinion, they're both going to figure some stuff out, make an adjustment. But is Brock Purdy and Jalen Hurts going to do too much? You got a diva AJ Brown over here complaining about
Yeah.
getting the ball. So
Yeah.
are they going to force to get him the ball? Like are they going to force to get the ball?
Mhm.
Is San Fran going to say, okay, we're going to double team, we're going to upset AJ Brown, we're going to double team him, get him frustrated. He's going to cause friction. I don't know. They're going to play that chess game, right? On the other side, are they going to force the ball to Debo, or instead of running the
Mhm.
ball? It's
Mhm.
going to be really interesting to see Whitney Sirianni and then what Shanahan are going to do on offense
Mhm.
because I would focus on the play action. If both of them can run the ball, and
Yeah.
I said this 2 weeks in a row,
Yeah.
if they can actually run the ball, that's why I'm focusing on. That's why I'm not focusing on defense, offense. If they
Mhm.
both can run the ball, they can do the play action, which Jalen Hurts and Brock Purdy are better. But if you ask him Brock Purdy and Jalen Hurts to sit back there,
Yep.
and again, I hate to bring this up, but Jalen Hurts didn't look good in last year's playoffs. He didn't look good in Oklahoma when he was in the Peach Bowl. He didn't
Yeah.
look good at Alabama when he was in the bowl games. I mean, I hate to
Yeah.
bring it, but when you talk about actual postseason games or bowl games, he didn't look that great. Last year didn't look that good either.
Right.
So you're gonna have to run the ball. Now, last week Dallas supposedly had a run defense problem. Christian McCaffrey averaged only 3.8 yards.
Yep.
Elijah Mitchell ran well, but he's hurt, right? So
Mhm.
and then Tony Pollard gets hurt, maybe change that game. Zeke is just washed anyways, so you can't really say were they doing that well.
Right.
So really, so I'm going back to it. The key is to me in this game is if they can run the ball and get the ball out of the quarterback's hand. It sounds crazy because now
Yeah.
everyone's thinking, oh, you're comparing Brock Purdy to Jalen. I'm sorry, guys. I watch a lot of Eagles. My dad's an Eagle fan. Okay, I watch a lot of Eagles games. I like Jalen Hurts. His best passing game was against the Bears. If you actually watch that game, you and I, Ty, were wide open. I don't know what Jalen
Yeah, I
Johnson
don't
and
know what
Kyle
the
Gordon
Bears.
were doing in that game, right? So, but
Yeah.
when he passed the ball against Dallas, you saw the game. There was, I forgot the other game that he was playing against. It was Texans. I'm sorry. If you
Yeah.
watch the Texans the first half, when he had to try to pass the ball, Derek Stingley and the safeties were doing a good job. So the key to this game plan is going to be run the ball,
Mhm.
don't give up and play action. That's the key to me. I don't even want to talk about defense. The key is to
Yeah.
get the ball out of Brock Purdy and Jalen Hurts' hand. And it sounds crazy because he's the MVP candidate, but it's just my analysis.
No, I think that's fair. So I think one thing, sorry, Scott, we had to bring in your Bears. I mean, they were kind of terrible defensively, but just want to let you know. Um, but really, I think you hit on the head. They're so even. I mean, I've been, racking my brain around this game a little bit. It might come down to, like you said, the coaches.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
think
Yep.
when you're close, like it's come down to the coaches. You got Boy Wonder, or the first Boy Wonder in Kyle Shanahan, who I think, from a schematic perspective is like the best coach in the NFL. I mean, the guy just, he designs run plays like they're pass plays. Like I was saying this to somebody before. I'm like, when San Francisco runs run plays, the offensive linemen look like they're running routes. Like,
Yeah. Oh,
that's how good they are.
like with Trent Williams, like Trent
Yeah.
Williams is like
Like,
on a.
yeah, they don't like they're like, okay, these are five guys, and this is what all five guys are doing. This one guy's going left, popping out here. This one's pulling. This one is actually double teaming and then go like if you actually did a blocking tree of the linemen, you'd be like, wow, this is incredible. And that is
Mhm.
creative, like the creative
Yeah.
run game. And Philadelphia is very similar too in the way they run
Right.
things, how they, use they pull people and they do triple option. And so,
Mhm.
like I said, I think whoever has the best plan to exploit whatever the weaknesses that you've seen in the defense on a run from a running perspective, I think might have the slight edge. Close, 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 close game. But let's give our predictions. So I think it's difficult. I actually believe that I actually think that San Francisco is going to win. It's been
Oh
really
wow.
tough. Yeah, it's been tough. I've been thinking about it, and I was like, Philadelphia's at home. Um, but honestly, I do think you hit the head in terms of the run game. I know for a fact that the 49ers are going to stop the run. That's what they do. They do that. Like I have not seen a game where someone was able to outrun them.
Mhm.
Philadelphia, I've seen games where they've not been able to stop the run. So,
Right.
I mean, Green Bay went up in there and was able, and you knew that Green Bay was going to run the ball because that's what they're going to, and they ran all over them. Now they were able to score because Green Bay's defense was terrible. But I think that's the only thing I could keep thinking about because you're right is the run. And I do think Jalen Hurts is gonna play an okay game. I don't think he's gonna play terrible. He's gonna play better than Dak, but I do think that they're gonna be able to run the ball. So my prediction is 20 23 to 21 game for the 49ers.
Okay. So yeah, I've been going back and forth, and it's going to be one of those games. I just feel like a special team play might win the game. I don't know,
Yeah.
or just
Yeah.
something like that. But I'm going to give a slight edge just because I just think Jalen Hurts will make maybe one or two extra plays, just maybe. So 21-17 Eagles. And
All right.
no rookie quarterback has ever made. I always also use history
Yeah.
as a way, but hey, as you know, a lot of records and a lot of things are happening the last 2 years in sports that never happened in the past.
Yep.
But no rookie quarterback has made it to the Super Bowl, let alone a seventh round rookie. But
Right.
so. But
Right.
again, to your point with Shanahan, he's not going to let the seventh round rookie
Yep.
get determine the game. So,
Correct. Correct. But
but
yeah,
watch the film, the Eagles. Watch the film. Brock Purdy likes to go to his left, and he holds
uh,
onto the ball a lot. He
that's
thinks
true.
he's a guy we're going to talk to in the next section called Patrick Mahomes. We're going to hold the ball and move to his left a little bit and make those sideline throws. So,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Cool.
All right, so we got our predictions there. Then we're moving to I just another game that I have no idea who's going to win, but I'm
Yeah.
interested to hear analysis. So we have the the Cincinnati Bengals going to Kansas City playing the Chiefs,
Hmm.
and so that's going to be a very interesting. It's a late game, right? So
Hmm.
it's a great game on purpose. I know the NFL did that. They want to have all that drama.
Yeah.
So I'll let you start off with your analysis.
All right. Well, we'll bring some numbers. So very interesting when I was doing some research on this. I was like, ooh, these guys are kind of similar um in terms of on both ends. Kansas City is first in the league in passing offense, which makes sense. They have Patrick
Yep.
Mahomes, who's been carving everybody up this season. The Bengals are fifth in passing offense, so you know they're going to be able to pass the ball well.
Hmm.
Rushing offense this season, Kansas City was 20th running the ball, and the Bengals were 29th running the ball. I think that stat is really important because I do also believe that um, the Bengals, it's kind of fool's gold a little bit, like that number. Um, I actually think that they have changed the way that they are approaching the game, which if you're the Chiefs and you're going off film of this season and who they are, you might be like, hey, we're gonna drop a whole bunch of people back and protect this and don't worry about the run because they're not really that great at running. I mean, 29th out of 32 teams is not that good. But
Right.
then you would go look at the film last week and watch how they ran all over the Bills, which was to me the key of the game. I know they started off fast, but when you get these methodical 30 something first downs, a lot of it on the ground, that's tough. That makes any offense that's even high powered feel more pressure to score when you have limited possessions.
Hmm.
Um, the other part that I think is interesting is their defenses. So um, the Chiefs are like eighth against the run defensively. The Bengals are fifth against the run defensively. They're actually very good defensively against the run, the Bengals, which allows for their pass rush to get in there. They don't seem to have to use that many people to stop the run, so they can still stay in that shell of theirs to protect, through the passing game, which I think is going to be important in this game because
Hmm.
um, they're going to have to figure out how to not let Kansas City be multi-dimensional. The Chiefs are 19th against the pass, which I think they actually have improved on because I saw a stat that they were like yards per attempt or something. They're like one of the worst, if not the worst in the NFL or something like that. Again, in the for pass defense. Um, I do think that again, I do think their defense is going to play better than that. Um, they step up in these kind of games, but they still
Hmm.
can't match up outside with Cincinnati. So they're going to have to again pick your poison, right? Like I need to get pressure. We're going to have Chris Jones have a huge game to be able to disrupt the pocket. And here's a stat for you. Chris Jones has, you know how many sacks he has in the playoffs in his career?
No,
Zero.
then. Oh wow, really?
Zero.
Wow, I didn't even know that.
I didn't know
Wow.
that. I heard that today. I was like, wait, this guy would
Yeah.
not be right. And I looked it up. I'm like, none. Doesn't have any sacks. He
He
has a
probably
lot of
has three.
pressures.
He probably has three roughing the passers. You know. So, but yeah,
Yeah.
so,
I know he does
but
that. He does that very
so
well. He's
they
like, I'm
probably
a,
eliminated his sacks.
yeah.
So,
He's like, I'm gonna hit the
so
quarterback somehow. It might not be a sack,
right,
but he
right,
does
right.
get a lot of pressure. But in terms of sacks, he hasn't had that many. So he's gonna have to somehow they're gonna have to get some pressure up there. I again, I think this is a toss-up game, but
Mhm.
so I've talked about the first episode. I talked about how like crown the Bengals. They need to prove it. I'm not necessarily saying that they've proven that they're the greatest team. I also think that this year's NFL teams, there's a lot of flaws in like everybody.
Right,
There's no like dominant team like, oh, these guys are just way better than everybody else. I don't see that.
right,
But
right.
what I will say about the Bengals that has impressed me is they don't get rattled. Like I don't
Yep.
see them, they don't flinch. I mean, people might say they're cocky, but they come in and they're pretty focused. They're always
Hmm.
focused. They know what they need to do. They can adjust well. I think their defense is their strong. I actually think their defense is their strength. I know people say their offense, but their defense, they don't give up tons and tons of points, you
Right.
know, and that is the part of the Bengals that is underrated. I think both offenses can be just as explosive as each other. I think they have the potential to anyway. And I think this game's going to come down to which defenses are better. I believe the
Right.
Bengals defense is slightly better than the Chiefs. The numbers say it. It's not a huge difference between
Slightly.
them, but the way they play, for sure, I think the Bengals
Right.
defense is better. But Go ahead and give
Right.
your analysis, and we'll give my prediction later.
Right. So let me first start off. A man myself in our chat room said week 6 the Chiefs defense is not good. It's
Yeah.
still to me it's not good. Right. I know everyone likes that, but they're not good. They made
Right.
Russell Wilson look like a good quarterback twice. They're not a good defense. But to your point, they have improved the line, right? With
Hmm.
Chris Jones, Alaskis. Nick Bolton is actually a good run defender, not great in the pass. So look
Hmm.
for if I'm the Cincinnati Bengals, right? And the reason why I went to the Chiefs defense first because to win the Chiefs defense is going to be the key to the game, in my
Hmm.
opinion, right?
Hmm. Yep.
Because and this is where you already know. So or they already actually the weather's gonna be fine. So I always like to talk about the weather because the weather affected some games, especially last week with my team. So Joe Burrow is going to get the ball out of his hands very quickly because both the offensive linemen, Jonah Williams and they're not playing. So they're going to have the same linemen in, right?
Hmm.
So they're going to get the ball out quickly and they're going to run the ball. One thing that people don't understand about offensive line play, so the offensive line guys are not that good and everything like that. Some people have better strengths. So I'll
Yeah.
give you one. Jack Carmen, the left tackle, the reason why he doesn't start, he was a second round pick. If you actually look at his scouting report, he played at Clemson. He's
Hmm.
not a good pass blocker. He is
Hmm.
a very, very strong, good run blocker. And the
Right.
Bengals need somebody to protect Joe Burrow. If you actually watched last week, what he was doing, he was throwing people around, right? So to your
Right.
point, so they're putting a run blocking left tackle in because that's what they had to put in, and we saw that, right? Jonah Williams is not really a great left. I mean, we'll talk about all of that, scouting. But one thing I love to do is like look at tape and read about the guys. But Jonah
Hmm.
Williams is a very good pass blocker because they want to protect Joe Burrow because he took a lot of sacks. But Harmon's strength, his left tackle, is running the ball. To your point, run the ball.
Hmm.
So it's going to be their line versus the Kansas City line.
Yeah.
If the Bengals run the ball
Hmm.
and makes like they did, like they've been doing against. Well, they haven't been doing, but you know what I'm saying, like they did
Yeah.
last week, Buffalo, for example. Then that means that you're leaving these rookie cornerbacks. But Trent McDuffie's been looking suspect. I mean, Snead is good.
Hmm.
Reed, he's okay. Thornhill, he's okay. Safety. Their linebackers between Gay and Nick Bolton, they're good against the run. They're okay against the pass, right?
Hmm.
If they can run the ball, and that means you got to bring people up, linebackers, you got to put more in the box. That means you're leaving Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and
Yeah.
Tyler Boyd one on one. It's going to be and Hurst, right? Their tight end
Yeah.
who's going to play now.
Yeah.
It's going to be a very long game.
Yeah.
Now, if Zach Taylor, we made fun of him being picked as a coach. Man, he has proven us wrong. He's
Yeah.
been looking good.
Yeah. He knows his
Did
stuff.
you? Let me tell you about the first two drives against the Bills. 7 minutes and 7 minutes and 50 seconds. First two drives. That's 14 minutes that they drove on them.
Yeah.
That's a quarter basically.
Yeah.
How do you get a hot quarterback to not play well? Get the ball out of their person's hand.
Yeah.
Run the ball, shoot it, get it short, and everything like that. So the Chiefs defense is not really good. But to your point, they do step up. Spagnola gets
Yeah.
them to scheme. So I personally think Chris Jones is gonna have a good game. They're gonna
Hmm.
figure it out. So I really think that way. So and then I'll go now to offense. Travis Kelce's been shut down the last 3 games against the Bengals.
Hmm.
56 yards, 47 yards, and 68 yards. I mean, if you look at it, he even fumbled actually last year, right? In
Yeah.
the playoffs. So
Yeah.
he fumbled the ball.
Yeah.
A
He
big
did.
fumble, right?
Yep.
So he's been shut down. But the worst thing, and I agree with you on the Bengals, I think the Bengals defense is very good. A lot of no-namers, right? Trey Higginson on the other side,
Hmm.
and Sam Hubbard might be one of the best two DNs that no one talks about, right?
Hmm.
DJ Reader is a run stuffer, great sign. Logan Wilson, great. A lot
Hmm.
of guys on defense, but there's somebody. His name, he played for the Giants. His name is Eli Apple. 10th pick in the draft. Been on 4 different teams this time of year. Why you, as a young kid, say capping? You're not good. You're ranked 86 in PFF football against the pass. And then now you talk about Borderland and all this other stuff. And he's a great trash talker. He's a top 10 trash talker in NFL.
Right.
but you're kind of lighting the fumes at the wrong time.
Yeah.
Weren't you the same person last week talking about, oh, they're selling tickets to Atlanta, which was ridiculous. Oh, we're a 6-point underdog. Oh, you know what? They don't know about us. You're doing the same. You're getting. I saw a couple of press conferences. Travis Kelce and the team, Willie Gay, all those guys did not look too happy with him just talking all that trash.
Hmm.
So I just have a feeling that Travis Kelce is going to have a good game.
I do too.
But who else is going to have a good game? Patrick Mahomes. I have ankle injuries. You have ankle injuries. I don't. I don't
Hmm.
want to. I don't care what people talk about. He's running around in practice field. When it's cold and you're playing your ankle, and that's Patrick Mahomes' superpower. His superpower is roll out
Yeah.
the pocket, make those 40-yard underhand
Yeah.
dash. You know what I'm saying, passes. Those dashing and throwing it in the air, right? So how much is that going to affect them? And who's going to step on wide receivers? I don't know who. You know,
I don't know.
Juju is Juju is MVS drops everything. You know, he's worse than the
Yeah.
Kent of the Bills. I don't know. He just drops all the passes.
Yeah.
Tony, I mean, Tony's okay. So it's gonna be Travis
Sky
Kelsey.
Moore, like
Sky
what?
Moore. I didn't even know he plays on the team still. Does he play? Okay. Because I haven't seen Sky Moore in a
Yeah,
while. I
no,
mean, he
I
got caught
know.
a couple balls. So it's gonna really be Travis Kelsey, really the key, and then running
Hmm.
the ball. McKinnon didn't have a catch first game. In the last 8 games, he hasn't had a catch yet
Yep.
last week, and then Pacheco.
Yep.
Now the strength for the strength for Cincinnati, I'm sorry, not Cincinnati, for Kansas City is their offensive line,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
So is Andy Reid going to run the ball? Now,
Right.
I do want to talk about last week because a lot of people talk about, oh, we didn't talk about it as much, but oh, that Kansas City, won the game. Patrick Mahomes had one leg. It was like one person said it was like the flu game, Jordan flu game with the one leg. Our last time I checked, Patrick Mahomes didn't play defense.
Yeah.
Trevor Lawrence missed about 5 throws. Christian
Mm.
Kirk dropped about 2 balls
Yep.
last week. He played defense. That if I'm the Kansas City, if I'm the Cincinnati Bengals and I'm Kansas City
Hmm.
Chiefs, I'm concerned about
Yep.
because you're not playing against Zay Jones, Christian Kirk, and
And
Evan
Marvin
Ingram,
Jones.
right?
Yep. And
Marvin
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 Jones.
Jones,
Yeah.
who he was giving jump balls to twice in the end zone. If you saw those
Yeah.
passes.
Yeah.
So that's going to be interesting game. But at the end of the day, and it's going to sound it's going to sound weird. Patrick Mahomes just plays lights out when it's prime time football. He just plays it out. Andy Reid
Hmm.
tends to do better, but Andy Reid does have a track record of choking. But here's a stat for you that you'll like. So I think by the end of the day, what I'm trying to say is that it's going to be the Bengals offense versus defense. That is the key to me, the game. Watching that piece.
Hmm.
Uh, on the other side is going to be a chess move. People think it's a shootout. I think it's going to be the opposite person. I'll tell you why.
Me
My
too.
prediction. So it's not going to be shootout. It's going to be their defense. Is Spagnuolo going to change the scheme up? Because if you learned anything from me last week, you can't have the same scheme because Zach Taylor did that to the Bills last week. And if you actually watch each game, they only lost by 3 points. If you look at every single game, the last 3 games they played, they lost by only 3. Right? Kansas City
Hmm.
lost by 3, and they're leading in the first 3 quarters and lost in the fourth quarter
Right.
for those 3 games. Now here's a stat because we talked about the other side has no rookie has ever made a Super Bowl.
Yep.
No, the last team that actually, when the last time a team that led the NFL in offense made the Super Bowl? The last time they made it,
Was it St. Louis Rams?
2009.
Oh, who was that?
So,
Dang, who was that?
uh, 2009.
Trying to think. Was that the
Oh
Patriots?
my God. Yes, Patriots. There we go. Yes, yes.
Okay.
2009, the Patriots, Randy Moss and all those guys, right?
Okay. Okay.
So 2009, and so last time somebody made it, and this just some. I mean, it's like one of those. I was watching ESPN, one of those, did you know stats? But that's
Hmm.
interesting.
Hmm.
And I went back. I'm like, wow, that's true. A lot of these high power offenses don't make Super Bowls. A lot of these high power offenses don't make Super Bowls. Now the Eagles are ranked number 3, Buffalo number 2. So we have the top 3 offenses playing
Right.
this Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm going to. I think it's going to be a low scoring game. It's going to be the defense. Sounds cliche. You're like, wow, Thomas, what kind of analysis is that? I
No.
think it's going to be the defense. So that's it's going to really game. I don't
Yeah.
think Patrick Mahomes is going to have 300 yards. I might be wrong, and 4 touchdowns. I think Joe Burrow's going to have 300 yards and 4 touchdowns. I really don't think it is. So
Mm-hmm.
I'll give my prediction of the score,
All right.
and then
What
I'll
is that?
let you.
All right.
It's going to, unfortunately, as much as this hurts me, it's going to be Kansas City. And I think it's going to be 2017. This is my prediction.
Is Kansas City 20 to 17 Kansas City, huh?
Yeah. Yep. That's just as much as it hurts. Andy Reid chokes a lot. I know, but
Yeah.
that's what it
Yeah.
is.
So I do think I do agree with you on the low scoring thing. I think we actually it's funny, I actually think we both think Kansas City is gonna score 20 points. Um, but I also think that Cincinnati is gonna score 24 points. So I
Okay.
got Cincinnati 24-20. I I was thinking 23-20. But I do think that, I don't know, I do feel the under in that, but I mean for you gamblers out there, I just they played each other enough where the first game was what 31-28, and it's kind of like a division game. There's always one game that's high scoring and one game that's low scoring. I kind of think this one's going to be the low
Yeah.
scoring one. Um,
Yeah.
Kansas City's defense, like you said, they've seen that stuff. People were going to talk about how terrible they are. They're going to come out, and it's going to be really contentious. Cincinnati's the same. They know what they're going to be getting. I think Mahomes actually is not going to play poorly, but I just think um, I don't see Kansas City getting those breaks
Yeah.
they got last week.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
24-20 Cincinnati is
We'll write it down.
my thoughts. Yep,
We
we
write
got
it
it down.
down.
Yep.
Yeah. Now, Ty. We want to make sure our audience always get good information. 2009 was the Saints.
Okay, yes, Saints,
2007
Saints.
was the Saints. 2007 was the
Was the
Patriots.
Patriots? I was gonna say I was like
Yeah.
2009 wasn't the. I was like I
Yeah.
was thinking in
The
my head.
Saints they beat the Colts. That's the last time a number one offense won a Super Bowl. So
That's
2009.
interesting.
And in 2007 they lost. They were just talking about on
Yeah,
the
they
AFC
lost,
side.
right?
They were talking about AFC side, and that's that last time. So now you see. Yep. 2000. So yeah, I mean it's going to be good.
Hmm.
Now we're getting to a new topic. We've been talking about a lot of NFL. Now we're going to
Yes.
talk about the NBA. The
Woohoo!
NBA. Before we start, Ty is the biggest NBA fan. He's the guy that watches the Detroit Pistons play the Houston Rock, two worst teams in the NBA.
Yep.
He'll watch that and text us about how good the game was and breaking
Yep.
down analysis. So he's a big NBA guy. So we're gonna start. We're gonna talk about the NBA for a little bit here. Just
Hmm.
talk about just our thoughts on so far in the midseason. Well, before All Star break.
Yeah. Thanks, Tom. So yes, I'm a huge NBA fan. So I understand we've been talking about a lot of NFL and because it's playoffs, but personally, in my opinion, the NBA is a better league overall. I think they care about the fans more. The players are more empowered. They change rules to improve the game and the quality of the game versus changing rules to appease lawsuits, which is what the
Right.
NFL does. They're more
Or Brady.
diverse. Yep, they're more diverse because we can spend a whole
Right.
bunch of time talking about, the amount of black coaches there are. There's 15 out of 30 black coaches in the NBA. How many we can count on two fingers? How many in the NFL? So, but that's neither here nor there. In general, I just like the product. And this year has been, and people might say this sounds hyperbole, but I honestly believe this has been the best NBA season that I can recall because you really honestly don't know who's going to win, and then also the difference in these teams. They're so close. There's been so many moves. There was this point where there was like super teams and they were doing all that stuff.
Mhm.
Well, they've got a bunch of teams that got guys that can play.
Mhm.
So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna share with you guys if Thomas, see if you can see this.
Yep.
Which
It's
is
loading up now.
all right, let's see. I'm gonna share with you guys the standings up to now.
Yep, we can see it.
All right. So as of today, this is January 27th. This is the Eastern Conference. So you got the Celtics right now who were in the NBA Finals last year for people that aren't huge NBA fans. They played the Golden State Warriors and I would say choked. They're up 2-1 and People didn't know how to play basketball after a while, and Golden State were able to win. But they have the best record in the league at 35-15. You got the Sixers with Joel Embiid and James Harden, who've been on a nice little 6 game winning streak. They are in second. Bucks with Giannis and Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton is back, who is probably the second best player. He just got back from injury 2 games ago. Brooklyn Nets, they've were on a nice run. Kevin Durant's been hurt. Kyrie been playing pretty well. Ben Simmons is worthless. But we can go on that, and I think they need to trade him. Cleveland
Again.
Cavaliers, yes, they should trade him again. Cleveland Cavaliers, shout out to Mark, my brother-in-law. These guys are pretty good. They have my guy Donovan Mitchell. I'm still crying a little bit about that. He had a game this year. He scored 71 points, which is insane, but that tells you how good he is. The Heat, they're always going to be in the picture. The Knicks, my team, great win last night. We beat the Boston Celtics in Boston in overtime. These guys are gritty and grindy, but I still would like us to fire Tom Thibodeau, but that's just my opinion because I think we have talent and we need to be able to utilize that talent. The Hawks, Trae Young, I don't really care about him too much, but they do have a lot of talent. I think the Murray trade was pretty good. The Pacers have been one of the biggest shocks to me at the 9. They're young. People thought they were going to be one of the worst teams in the league. Those young guys are all playing really, really well. Tyrese Halliburton, Ben Mathurin. I got the Haitian flag up for him right there. That's my Haitian brother over there, doing pretty well from the University of Arizona. Good rookie. Um, Good team. They're young. They've been fading a little bit, but still in the play-in. And the hometown Wizards, they're doing well. Kyle Kuzma has been an all-star in my opinion. He probably won't make it, but he's been really playing pretty well. They're starting to get healthy with Porzingis and Beal, and um, then the rest. Then you got the Bulls, the Raptors, who, interesting enough, I think the Raptors are they're the Knicks kryptonite. I know that we're 1-3 against them this year. They got this weird like everyone can switch team. They're all 6'8", and so
Right.
it's really difficult to play against them. And um, the other team I want to talk about a little bit is the Magic in the East. They're really, really young, but man, they have so much talent. I mean, it is insane how much talent they have. And funny enough, Boston has 15 losses. 3 of them this year were to Orlando. They're 1-3 against the Magic this year. And because
Oh,
there's only one team in the league that could play like the Magic against Boston, which is them. Their shooting guard is a 6'10" shooting guard in Franz
right.
Wagner. Like you can't
Their
have a
point,
six. Yeah, and your
their
point
point
guard
guard is
is
7
yeah.
foot, right?
Well, yeah,
Right?
well, Bol they can be up. They put him off the bench. They bring him in as point guard, as 7 feet point guard, or they have Markel Fultz, who's thank goodness to see him back playing
Yeah.
basketball, and Jonathan Isaac. So, um, it's really interesting to watch the Magic play. The Hornets, I don't know. Michael Jordan needs to give it up. And the Pistons, unfortunately for them, they play hard, but Cade Cunningham, who was their first pick last year, he got injured. I do like Jaden Ivey. He's been balling for them. Shout out to my guy Isaiah Stewart from McQuaid Jesuit High School in Rochester, New York, out there balling for Detroit, my high school alma mater. So I would like to, give him a shout out. But yeah, that's the East. And quickly on the West, West you know, is insane. All right. So you got Denver, actually. The Denver Nuggets are the number 1 seed. They're finally healthy, um, with Jamal Murray, Jokic and Michael Porter. And person who I think is the key to their team is Aaron Gordon, because Aaron Gordon was a top pick and he kind of was considered like a bust. People thought he was going to dominate people. He's like one of the top people in the NBA in terms of field goal percentage. Jokic is such a great passer. You need someone that can finish in an efficient way. He leads the league in dunks, and he's not even a center. So that just tells you um
Mhm.
what makes it difficult. So now you got to worry about him scoring, and then they got all these shooters out there and they start playing defense. So they're tough. The Grizzlies, John Moran is just a freak of nature. That guy got the dunk of the year. where he like posterized um Jalen Smith from Indiana. If you haven't seen that, go YouTube it. It was disgusting and filthy. Um, and yes, now we get to talk about the third team in the West. And you might be shocked if you don't watch the NBA and you wait till the playoffs. This guy here is why it's on it. And Thomas can tell you, I've been telling these guys about them since probably the second week of the season. Said the Sacramento Kings. They are third in the West. They are my league pass team. I always pick a league pass team, like Thomas says that, hey, who do you watch? They are my league pass team this year. Last year's team was the Minnesota Timberwolves, and you saw how they did in the playoffs. People were shocked. Not me, because I watched them. The Kings are my league pass team this year. They are very well built. Um, you got great coaching by Mike. What's the name?
Mike Brown.
Mike Brown. Yes, I was gonna say Mike Jones. Mike Jones. Sorry, Mike Brown. And you got Domantas Sabonis, who to me is going to be, who hopefully should be an all-star. Great, double-double guy, probably besides Jokic, one of the best passer, big man in the league. De'Aaron Fox, who's always been playing well, but definitely is playing better in maturity. But the parts that make them so good this year was that trade where they traded for Kevin Herter. That
Yeah.
guy is not saying he's Clay because that sounds far-fetched, but he's at one point, I don't know if he is still, he's leading the league in 3-point percent. He's shooting like 53% from three. That's insane.
Yeah.
You can't shoot 53% from 3-point in the NBA. Like, and these aren't just, these are contested shots. So he spreads the floor. You got Keegan Murray, the rookie, who just knows how to play basketball. Harrison Barnes still knows how to play. Malik Monk coming off the bench. Very, very, very fun team. They're going to score every night. If you want to watch a team that's going to score points, go watch the Kings. They're leading the league in scoring. They almost score 120 a game. It's 119. And of course, their defense isn't the greatest, which is why they're, who they are. But very entertaining. Pelicans, I think they're a sleeper team once they get healthy. Zion, but then you got to hope Zion gets healthy.
Yeah.
McCollum. Clippers, I think they're interesting. I'll just let you know they were my sleeper pick from before the year, and I guess they were a sleeper, but I kind of think they were going to come out. They didn't look so great because they're doing this weird, like, play guys for one night, sit on the next, so you're not getting a good rhythm. It's NBA. You kind of got to get used to playing with each other and start building wins. They've been on a little 4-game streak now, and they're not just beating teams, they're destroying teams. And they won yesterday 100 to 136. I mean, they're starting to hit their stride. I think they have probably the best team when everybody's playing well together or playing together. Mavericks, you got Luca, he still needs help, but Christian Wood thought it was a great signing. He's balling out of control this year, but I think they're going to need help for them. The Suns, they need a healthy Booker. Timberwolves, they've been without what's his face? Carl
Carl
Anthony Towns.
Anthony Towns. Yeah.
He's injured, but who has rise? And hopefully there's no answer and no more debate before. There was a little discussion. Oh, the Timberwolves should have drafted LaMelo Ball first over Anthony Edwards. Yeah, I don't think how's that working out for Charlotte
Yeah.
instead of Minnesota. Anthony Edwards is that guy. He's that guy. And actually, so
Mm.
much so, I personally think that they should trade Karl Anthony Towns. Not because he's a bum, but you're already approving they're playing. They got to play through Anthony Edwards. And so to do that, trade him, get some resources, and come back. Golden State Warriors, they're the defending champions. Everybody's crowning them. But if you can look here, they are 18-6 at home and 6-18 on the road. That is terrible. That's like San Antonio Spurs record. Like that's just that's embarrassing. So
Mm.
I don't know if they're gonna figure it out. They're still the champs. I mean, you're gonna have to beat them. Um, I don't know what they're gonna do. They got some youth. The
Mm.
Jazz, another team we thought there was gonna be a first round pick team that's been balling. Lauri Markkanen, if you don't know that name, figure that out. He is gonna be an all-star. He's been balling. Another one, the Tye and Thomas TnT had said during draft day that was going to be good. University of
Yep.
Arizona player. I don't know why Chicago got rid of him. I
Me
understand why
either.
Cleveland made that trade, but Chicago should have signed him. and then he was a free agent and nobody wanted to pick him up. It was just weird. Now this guy's averaging 24 points a game and carrying a team that should be one of the worst to a potential playoff position. The Thunder, to me, the story of the year besides the Kings is the Thunder, and that's because Shea Gilgeous-Alexander is amazing. This guy is scoring 31 points a game, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. He's shooting like 50% from the field. He's like unstoppable. And he's playing with a bunch of, they're all talented guys. They got a lot of talent, but they're young. It's like 20, all 20-year-olds and him. And they are, right there in contention. Portland, I don't know what they need to do. They've got Dame Lillard, who to me, which we could start a debate, is probably, everyone loves Steph. I'm not saying Steph isn't great. He is great. But Dame is right there.
They got to
Right
trade him.
there. Yep.
To Berlin.
Yeah, but Dame wants to stay. I don't know why he wants to stay. He just needs to go. I mean, I wanted him to come to New York. I'm happy with Brunson, but man, they gotta get rid of. I mean, he's got to go, but it's his call. And then the Lakers. Everybody wants to talk about the Lakers, right? They actually have done better than I thought, which is sad. I mean, they're what, 13th? I think when they get everyone healthy, they might actually make a little push. LeBron James is an alien. I'm not a huge LeBron James basketball fan, never been. But I will say over the last 6 years, I would say, because he's been in the league forever, I respect him more. I mean, the guy really, really works on his craft. And he's improved his game immensely. So, and then the rest of the teams, they're all fighting. Your Rockets, Thomas. I mean, they can score, but man, they can't defend for anything. I mean, they're the second worst defense in the league. So, or third worst defense. But yep.
Then they're
So
exciting to watch, but
yeah. So I did a lot of talking, but I gave a summary. I mean, it's a halfway point. I mean, the other thing that I wanted to quickly mention was the points per game people. So you got Joel Embiid is leading the league in scoring, just in case you guys are wondering. They just named the All-Stars. He's not named an All-Star starter. He is leading the league in scoring. That tells you sometimes how uninformed fans are in terms of, voters. It's a shame. Then you have you got Luka, of course, Tatum, Giannis, and there's Shea right there. When I talk about Shea Gilgeous, 30.8. I mean, it's insane. 51% from the field. LeBron, 30 points, insane. Donovan Mitchell, Kyrie's been playing pretty well. Jaylen Brown, and where's my Knicks guy? Oh, there's Julius Randle for 24.8. I give him a hard time, but hey, he's inconsistent. He gives me headaches on a regular basis, but he's been playing pretty well. And lastly, I wanted to show this one, which was assists. So who you won't see on there is James Harden. And the reason why James Harden's not on there is because he's not eligible because of the amount of games he's played. But James Harden's averaging like over 11 assists a game, which is insane. I mean, he's dominating when he's playing. But Tyrese Halliburton, and the crazy thing, and look, I'm a kind of historian when it comes to NBA, and I do think that you need to be like one of the greatest players of all time to be an MVP, or two-time or three-time MVP. But what Nikola Jokic is doing is just it's insane. It seriously is nuts. The guy's your center. He's averaging 9.9 assists, 11 rebounds, and 25.1 points per game. His efficiency rating is a 37.7. Like that's like off the charts. So so when we talk about MVPs, I would personally give it to Tatum because they had the best record, but Denver right now is half a game behind Boston. If they have the best record in the league, you give that guy a third MVP and go from there. All right, Thomas. So I gave you all my stats and my information without going into more detail, but we'll have tons of NBA talk as we go through. But go ahead, man. I know you got some stuff you want to say.
Yeah, so definitely. Speaking of the Joker, what a find in the second round. I mean, he might be the best. So the second round in the NBA when he got picked, I think he was 41st or 42nd. That's like getting a fourth round pick. He's like the Tom Brady kind of pick, like sixth rounder, like how
Yeah.
the NBA works. If you actually look at the NBA, second rounds don't last in the league that long. I mean, they're like on the bench,
Mm-hmm.
let alone all stars. They're usually our top.
Mm-hmm.
But just you did a great job of going through. So I won't add. We'll have a lot of NBA talks later on. I won't add, but I do want to talk about. What I like to do is I'm a big off-season person. So the more
Mm-hmm.
episodes you get, we'll talk about the off-season.
Yeah.
And one thing I love about the NBA that it's a very active off-season by
Mm-hmm.
trades. Not
Mm-hmm.
really about free agents, but there's a lot of signing trades, but more of trades.
Mm-hmm.
And why people let Danny Ainge continue to rob people. The man should be in jail right now. He should be in jail for life in one of the Apex Florence, the ones where they put the terrorists and the top people where you don't see them, and
Yep.
never let him be a GM,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Cleveland, fine. You got Donovan Mitchell, you got some picks, everything like that. That's fine.
Yep.
What in the world were they thinking about Rudy Gay? I mean, that was by far
Gobert.
what's that? Oh, come sorry, yeah, that's like Colbert.
Yeah, Gobert.
Rudy Gay, the other player, Colbert,
Yeah.
right? Rudy
Yeah.
Colbert. I can't. I'm so mad I can't even get his name right. But so Colbert, that was the worst trade. I mean, the Minnesota has made some terrible trades. Russell, you could say Russell traded.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, which I was still confused a little bit. But that trade was so bad.
Yep.
Why was it so bad to me? Not just the draft picks, because in the NBA people waste draft picks all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But they traded for a center, North Carolina, Walker, right? Kelsey, what's it? Kelsey Walker.
Oh yeah. Walker
Walker,
Kessler.
Walker.
Walker
Yeah,
Kessler.
Walker Kessler.
Mm-hmm.
And he's doing as good as he is, Rudy,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So I mean, so you're giving all these picks, and then you give away players, and you give him away. He
Yeah.
could have done the same thing that he's doing.
Yep.
And I always look at like terrible. That might be one of the worst trades. So this offseason, we
Mm-hmm.
saw two of the worst trades, and one in the NBA,
Yep.
one in NFL.
Yep.
Russell Wilson for the
Yep.
NFL
Yep.
and Rudy, right? So light skinned people, sorry, you ain't winning this. Like, you guys, so, I'm kidding. That's an inside joke for our friends. But two of the worst trades. And then my last point, and then we'll end it on there. My last point is, thank goodness Golden State is not good. As much as I like the NBA and I watch it, I just get so sick of. They were getting so. I was getting so nauseated with their talks and
Yeah.
somebody like the Patriots, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm just so glad. But with my luck, they'll start coming back
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
Steph Curry, maybe. But the internal fight is funny.
Yes.
He's getting mad at people shooting shots, throwing his mouth guard in the stands, and
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of internal battles,
Yeah.
which I love. I love it because I can't. I need them to go away and let the NBA. There's more parity than that.
Yeah.
So we'll have more to talk about, but I do want to talk about Rudy. Rudy's trade in Minnesota.
Yeah.
Minnesota's can't get right.
Right.
They can't get anything right.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe they do trade Carl Towns, but they might trade Carl Towns Jr. for like a seventh bench player. Who knows? You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
They might trade him for Collins in Atlanta. I don't know. Like he's
Yeah.
okay, but
Yeah.
something like that. But
Yeah. I
who
could
knows?
see them doing something crazy like that too. Uh, Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think that's a great take. I mean, I do we won't talk too much about it, but I do want to say free agent wise, and again, I might sound like a homer. I was saying it before it was like December last year, telling everybody that we want to listen that Jalen Brunson was going to be a free agent. I hope the Knicks can get him. People are like,
yeah, you
no, we
do.
need to get, Dame Lillard and stuff. I'm like, of course I'd love Dame Lillard. But I was like, well, I don't think we need him. We need a point guard. I was like, once we get a point guard, you're going to see that the Knicks, they're not going to be the best team. It's a start. You're going to
Right.
see them to be able to compete because you're going to take the ball out of Julius Randle's hand and have it someone that makes plays at the end because the Knicks kept losing at the end like they almost did yesterday because
Right.
Julius Randle turns the ball over. So
Right.
sometimes you need to get your right pieces like you're saying, and um, so I do think that was the best free agent move of the year. I mean, he's going to be an all-star, and you got to be able to project, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's
Yeah.
going to be interesting. This trade, I can't wait for the trade deadline. Is coming soon. I think it's February 9th. So there's gonna be a bunch of
Yeah.
trades. We already had Rudy Hoochie Mama's what Charles Barkley called him yesterday. I was like
Well,
Hoochie
yeah, then
Mama, Hachimura
yeah, he's,
to the Lakers, which I actually think it's a great trade for Lakers, but I actually think it's not a bad trade for the Wizards either because
yeah,
they needed shooting and none came out and hit like three threes his first game, and they
yeah,
got draft picks too because they want to be able to
yeah,
re-sign Kuzma. So
yeah. Yeah.
yeah, we'll see how these things turn out.
And then the Knicks should go for a shooter. Eric Gordon might be available. You guys are bottom. The Knicks are bottom five shooting threes in
Yes, we
NFL. Or
are.
bottom. I mean, sorry,
NBA.
NBA.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So bottom five. So
Yeah.
Eric Gordon, maybe you can give up a second rounder. Get him off the team. I feel bad for him. So,
Yeah, I know it's real
but
bad.
but
All right.
again, this is concludes our episode 3. A lot of fun stuff. And we'll see you guys next week.
All right,
Take
make sure
care.
you like the page
Oh yeah.
and subscribe. We've got a lot of views and it's great. I'm so happy that you guys are reviewing it. But subscribe and like these videos so that we know that you guys are getting it and I don't have to send out these messages to everyone.
All right. Yes. And again, subscribe and like. Thanks, guys. Take care. Have a great
Thank
week.
you. Bye-bye.